You say baby? Got it.
Got it. Yeah. Say hi, Scarlett.
Hello.
Hello, Scarlett. Hello, Mateo. You're not saying I say baby.
Baby.
Okay, I gotta go inside. It's too cold.
All right, get out of here.
Right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Got your is that Project Better representation right there?
Yeah, it's like I grabbed 2 hoodies when we moved out of mum's, and I think this was the one I was wearing at the time. So I've been recycling through this in my MTM one in the wash, one out of the wash, and this is the one that's out of the wash at this point in time.
I'm surprised you haven't put up that Cameron ad. Oh, look who it is.
The what?
The Cameron ad. Come here.
The what now?
The Cameron ad that some beautiful genius cut together for you.
Oh, I've got to. I don't do social media. I just help create the content. I don't do any of the posting. Have you seen the gym since we renovated?
I have not.
We put up shelving and whiteboards.
That's cool. Who drew the pictures?
Some of the clients. And then
Nice.
the old all cats trophies.
What's the UFC?
No, it's the best overall female from a weightlifting comp she won.
That's sick. A belt.
Yeah. And then the old Maltese flag, mate.
Yeah, mate. Where'd that go? That's cool. So Saba started this week.
Oh, we're recording, FYI.
What's that?
We are recording.
Yeah,
Good.
it's exciting.
Nice. Did you guys do like a intro with her?
Yeah, so what we normally do for our members is similar to what we do for our in-house members, where we've got a on-ramp session, movement assessment, goal setting, things like that. And then if like she actually moves pretty damn well, so we just got stuck straight into the program that week. Like just a couple of intro sessions, and then her program starts Monday.
Yeah.
Whereas if someone was pretty new, we would probably do 2 or 3 online PTs if they lived quite far away. And obviously now in lockdown, we would do 2 or 3 PTs if they needed it.
Yeah. She's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Like, she'll do real well, I think.
Yeah, she's got a lot of potential. She's crazy strong.
Just with some focus, like just with some actual Ollie focus.
Yeah.
I think
Moves very well.
Especially during lockdown, like you just need to grab what's fun and fucking run with it as hard as you can, because God knows how long we're going to be playing this game for.
Well, at least another couple of months before they give us some type of reprieve.
Well, I thought that when we did this last year, I was like, next year we'll have to totally do this in person.
Face to face. Yeah. 100%.
How's things with you?
Yeah, things going well. Like my work hours are pretty much just 9 to 5, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And then I do a half day Wednesday night, a half day Wednesday, Saturday morning, normally. So other than that, Scarlett's killing it, and Tracy's back working pretty much 3 days now.
Nice.
Yeah. It's crazy. What's going on with you? What are you looking at?
I'm just getting everything set up. I wasn't sure how the internet would handle that here, but it seems to be doing all right. So
What is that?
Huh?
Hey.
You got a robot boy.
Yeah. Pretty cool little gym setup.
Yeah, I got Matty Cowan to install some lights for me a while ago.
Yeah.
And then because my original plan was to try to double it as a home gym, do some PT in here, and also to have it as like a podcast studio.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I read this study about how high intensity exercise actually inhibits like, oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Just make sure you can't hear me.
Hey.
Yeah, I could hear you before.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you.
Oh.
Yeah, I read this. What was it called? The book was The Power of Ritual that we read for the MTM book club.
Yeah.
And it talked about how, like, why CrossFit gyms and stuff are becoming basically like people are still so thirsty for like connection and some sort of like feeling of spiritual belonging, but moving away from like the church in droves, and
Yeah.
seem to be going to like CrossFit gyms and like Soul Cycle in particular.
Yeah.
And so one of the reasons was that high intensity activity has the same impact on the brain as like drinking, right? It inhibits like that, what's it called? The, not like your filter, but like that inhibitory system.
Mhm.
So after you do a HIIT workout, you're like, the reason you're able to develop such strong connections is because you're all in that like inhibited element. You've gone suffering together. So then even though the conversations might be mild, you're in that like state of mind to develop deeper connections. So I was like thinking of like one thing to do with the podcast once we could finally have in-person guests would be come down, you do a bit of a workout, you get to know each other a little bit, and then you have the chat, and that chat would then be like a much more kind of like conversation. But the problem was we only had like the one light at the top. And so the one or two that I did here, it worked really well. So long as like the weather's good and the door could be up.
Yeah.
Now that we've got the lights, the only thing is like finding the right angles, one, so that I look big, and two, that you don't get those like rainbow.
And acoustics.
Yeah. Hopefully the acoustics are all right.
They're fine. But as in like, in terms of like making it feel like it's a studio and, you know what I mean? Like.
Get some black curtains that like drop down behind.
Yeah, curtains, towels.
So
yeah,
I had some big chats this week about the podcast and what I want to do with it. So
yeah, that's cool.
I think I got to take it away from MTMN, because I think like part of the problem is sometimes it's like you feel like you have to be not too professional, but that like you're always worried about potentially saying the wrong thing, and it stops you from potentially having better quality conversations.
But also, I think the other thing as well is if you're more polarizing, you're more likely to divide people, and you're also more likely to then bring in stronger connections, stronger people that are similar to your belief system.
Yeah, I think like ultimately, like I don't necessarily want to feel like I'm not able to be who I am, right? And so if I feel like I'm always inhibiting the way that I talk or overly thinking and not just being able to relax, that like I am doing that. And I think what's the point of doing it then if I'm not getting as much out of it as I could, you know?
Sure.
And then the workout would just be a good icebreaker. So it's not like the first time you've met someone and then be like, and record. You know? Yeah,
for sure. And then it's like takes you 45 minutes to warm up.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, mate.
I think Jack will hopefully be on soon.
Yeah.
It's no doubt it's bath time for everybody. So appreciate you doing this again. And it is funny, like last year it was like, oh, you know, next year definitely have to do this in person. And then I think we've had, what have I seen you since last year? Maybe twice, Controlled Chaos, and then
Charlotte's first birthday.
Charlotte's first birthday quickly, and then that's it.
Yeah. It's it doesn't feel like it's 2021, that's for sure.
Here he is. Hey.
Hey. What's going on?
How are you, buddy?
Oh, not bad. Getting someone ready for bed has its struggles, but he's happy to be here. How are you, Ackers? You well?
Good, mate. How are you going?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate.
Geez, guys, you were in your 5Ks. You guys could have had a cheeky little setup and had a beer together for this.
Had to be outside, of course.
Yeah.
You're correct. Masks on and all.
Masks on. At a park now.
How's that? Albie's grown 4 years in 12 months. Amazing.
He actually barely scrapes into the 50th percentile for weight. He's been very indifferent to solids.
Yeah.
But he's started to enjoy him. His molars have just burst out in the last week or so. So he's just he's all about food this last week.
Beautiful. Now you can chill it.
Yeah. So he might catch up quick. But yeah, 80th percentile for height, 50th for weight. Doing well, son.
We had our 12-month meeting with the maternal health nurse, and they're looking up the height, and Kat's doing the height, and she's like, fuck, Matea's in like the 90th percentile for height. And I'm like, what's the average height for like AFLW draft picks this year midfield? So like, what's her trajectory? Is she going to be?
What position she going to play?
I'm going to get you fucking charger. Hey, Dal. Can I have the charger for the laptop? Gone down well because I sold this to her. We'll give you a break. Where's
As I was
Jamie?
saying to Ackers, like I was kind of listening back to the first one we did, was like, next year we'll just have to do this in person. We'll be able to do it like every 3 months and we'll catch up. Everyone's like, yeah. It's like, here we are, 12 months on.
Deja vu, mate. It seems unfair. He was born in lockdown. He's celebrated his first birthday in lockdown. I'm worried he's regressing socially, and that when he meets people in person, he's really quite shy, which is, he gets that from his mother. But
Yes, we were lucky. Scott's first birthday was just out of lockdown. It was in the middle.
Yeah, the week off, managed to fluke it.
Right before that, lockdown 5. Very lucky.
Lockdown 5, that seems like ages ago.
Yeah.
are you at Tez's, are you, BJ?
Yeah, we were getting our bathroom. We knocked down that wall between the bathroom and the toilet.
Yeah.
Put a bath in, and we thought, they're going to be turning off all the. Oh,
He's gone.
maybe I'll wait. The computer didn't make it. Francesca.
He's
charger.
he's not interested in listening, buddy. He's like, I'll come back when this story's done.
Okay, maybe I'll wait for him. What were we talking about?
I can't even remember. Just
Podcast. Went through that. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, yeah, the idea would be do a workout, have a bit of a chat, and then sit down and have a conversation from that point.
swear your head off and give political opinions that people don't agree with, and
Stick my opinions down your throat.
yeah. Welcome to my show. Now listen to me.
Yeah. Well, it's I don't know, like you definitely do, like when you sit down with you or sit down with people that you have like a personal relationship with, it's like, number one, the conversation is so much easier because you can just have a conversation. It's not like you're like, fuck, I got to think of the next question. And number two, I think you can tell, like, I'm not exactly interviewing people who are like super experienced, like doing interviews. So they're pretty nervous too. And it's like,
Yeah.
like you're both kind of at a point where it's like, fuck, I'm purely just trying to think of questions and they're like not giving me much in terms of extended response. It makes
Who do you reckon has been the best to interview?
You've been pretty good, mate. You've been
As in, like,
pretty
like-
easy.
is anyone just like have you interviewed anyone that you didn't know before this that was like, oh, I didn't know about you, and now who?
Jess Curl.
Oh, yes, yeah,
Jess was
yeah,
easy. But again, like she came here. We did that one in the garage.
yeah, for sure.
That
How did you get on to Jess? Was that me?
was you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jess was she was, anyone who's been on the podcast more than once, it's generally a sign because like the conversation
I
is,
can talk to them. Yeah.
and I think you've been on 4 times. So
Oh. I think I gotta hold it. This is 5, isn't it?
we should get you a little like plaque.
sounds
current games holder.
Yeah.
I was teasing Kat because we were talking about, she's like started doing air squats now as part of her rehab, so she's super excited.
Yeah.
Once we have the second and you finish your rehab post baby delivery in the second, I'll take you, get a place down near at Iron Tribe and you can just do pure weightlifting training for 6 months, babe. And she's like, I'd really like that.
Mate, isn't it crazy what it does to a female's body, right? Like here we are over a year and a bit later, and she started air squats.
Yeah.
Before baby, she was back squatting 145 kilos.
The annoying thing is with the pelvis, like she obviously had her pelvis issues and I had that thing removed out of my wrist. So it was like Kat couldn't do any lower body and all I could do was lower body. So we were both just fucking miserable.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. You're favorites.
But yeah, Jackie boy, yeah, we knocked down the wall between the bathroom and the toilet to put a bathtub in and open it up a little bit. And then we decided we'd move into mum's because obviously there's going to be no water. And 2 days after we moved in, they were like, call the lockdown. So we thought, we'll stay here. And then they extended the lockdown and it's like the tradies could actually keep working because there was no one in the house. So they could keep working for the first little bit.
Yeah, good.
And now they're almost done, but it's kind of like, I
Why
don't
not
know,
just stick around?
it's pretty easy here. Like obviously we've got the gym and stuff behind me, but it's an extra pair of hands all the time with Matea. It's like awesome company for mom, who otherwise is basically on her own. And it's been great for mum and Matea to have time together, and like Tez will put her down for a morning nap most mornings, and like Kat and I both just had our first Pfizer doses then, and it was like the first time we've kind of both been away for like an extended period of time, and it was just like no issues with Tez and Matea. So it's been worked all round. It's been nice.
Nice.
Cool.
Yep.
I got your beers in the mail, mate.
Oh, fantastic! They made it.
We got your ciders in the mail. Must be the same delivery driver.
It could have been, mate. We've got a block barrel drain out the front of our house, so he got his feet wet at my place, that's for sure.
Mine,
Got out of
when
his car.
you come through the gate, there's a bit of a puddle as you walk through, so it was bucketing down as you arrived.
Yes.
Yeah.
He wasn't too pleased about it, but I think he got over it.
Yeah. Get them on.
So what else is news, dads? How's
How are you?
fatherhood?
How are you, Jackie boy? You been still working, or you got some time off, or how's your
Nah, very, 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 very lucky, the pair of us, to both be deemed essential to a point where we're not affected financially. But no, I go into work every day, Monday to Friday, and Francesca's working her 3 days a week from home at the moment. And yeah, because my mother-in-law can't hit the golf course, she's on deck, and Bron and Craig tag team on a Wednesday with Elby, so they've got him for a full day, so they get the full bonding experience. And I guess it's, caring, so they're allowed to do it, and it keeps them sane as well. So, oh man.
Yeah, I'm the same. We with Scarlett, we have Tracy's mum look after her on a Monday, and then I have her Wednesday, and then my mum has her Saturday morning. It has the last 3 weeks anyway, just for a care, gives us a bit of a break. Because it's even though I'm technically not essential, it would be impossible to do my job from home with a kid running around my feet. It just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So I go to the factory on my own. Scarlett goes to grandma's house, works real well.
Is Scarlett in daycare? You guys do daycare?
Not yet. Eventually, we'll probably need to, especially on the Tuesday, because Tracy's now back 3 days as well. And that Tuesday day is pretty tough because I have work in the morning and then work at night. So trying to balance it out, because she works from a different location, which is kind of good because it's not too far from home. But we're probably getting close to childcare 1 day a week or half day once a week.
Yeah. How are you finding it, guys? Because Elby does a couple of days, doesn't he?
Yeah, so we pulled him out for a couple of weeks because there was a little bit of a grey area on what Francesca could do in terms of she was working from home but wasn't a permitted worker at the time. So we thought, he can't go to daycare or whatnot. So he's had a couple of weeks off, which has been, it's been pretty sweet not to get flu-like symptoms or gastro for a couple of weeks. It's been a real treat for us.
How did you go with did you guys go and check out like a couple of different places and then decide on what? Yeah, how was that?
Yeah, it was good. Francesca knew exactly what she wanted. We had a couple of recommendations for this one around the corner because the staff are sort of, they're lifers, so to speak. The daycare doesn't have all the bells and whistles of some of the new big setups, but the people that are there are parents themselves and understand kids, and it's just better than having people there that are there for there for the interim, not for long term. It's a really well run centre. It's clean. it's simple. You don't get the social media updates during the day, but it doesn't really bother me all that much. Really good childcare centre, really good.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't even what do you look for? Like I don't even. You just get the vibe of the place.
Truth be told, mate, I wasn't really in charge of the legwork, but it was priced reasonably, and that ticked every box I was after. Francesca knew exactly how she wanted to approach it, and she did. She went to 3 or 4 opens. He did an orientation there. Just sort of fell into place. It's around the corner. That's it.
He enjoys it?
He does. He settles quickly, but we're yet to drop him off successfully. He's sort of, maybe we can attest it to COVID, maybe not, but he's got a little bit of a clingy stage at the moment. Not necessarily with just his mum. It's more just any face that is familiar to him is the first one he's going to put his arms out to. But yeah, he'll get there. I think he's regressed socially the last couple of weeks, but he will. He'll be back in daycare next week, and it'll be nice for Francesca to drop him off just around the corner, work from home, and then pick him up 5 minutes after she's finished work.
Yeah. You guys,
yet to drop him off without tears.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be tough. It'd be the first couple of times that you are really surrounded purely by strangers for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah. And he gets along well with all the educators and the other kids. So there's a couple of kids there from mother's group on his day. So, with time he will get familiar, and before you know it, he won't even want to say goodbye to us. We'll put him down and off he'll run with his friends, and that'll be sad for us, but also good.
He's up and walking. He's been walking for a while, hasn't he?
Yeah, he was up and about I think a smidge before 10 months, but before that he was pulling himself up on things and getting into it. I can just hear him getting put down at the moment. He's not too happy about it, but he's into everything. He's a handful. It's a good handful, but it's keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, it's been funny being having, I guess, the youngest out of the 3 and kind of getting the warning signs from you two, whether it be through your social media stories or just the general banter of it. I remember Ackers telling me a story that's like, you're on the toilet and all you can see is like Scarlett going for the dog's bowl. And there's like nothing you can do about it. Just like let it out.
Yeah.
The dog bowl is a favourite.
Yeah, the water bowl.
Loves to go for swimming in it.
You guys find that too then as well? The kids are like super into the water, anything that makes like a tip the dinner out onto the tray on the high chair and be playing with it. And
yeah, she wants to feed herself these days. Scarlett doesn't want us to feed her.
Oh really? She's at that point.
Yeah.
Did Albie and Scarlett go through an obsession phase with the toilet? Because we've got Mateo either pulling all the toilet paper off the roll, or if the toilet seat's up, she's like trying to play with the water at the bottom of the bowl.
Yeah, she's trying to put stuff into the toilet. We have the toilet seat closed, obviously, and then so now we just have to have the toilet doors always closed, because otherwise she's going to be taking something and trying to put it into the toilet.
You're mobile.
Yeah.
What are you drinking there, old cock?
I found some monkey shoulder scotch at the back of the cupboard at Tessie. And it's actually it's how you don't really appreciate.
That's a single malt, mate. That's Ingle.
No, it's blended malt.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's different to the one I'm thinking of.
It's I never really appreciate, like, how you appreciate wine once you drunk good wine.
Yeah.
It's like the first time that I've ever had any kind of scotch that's not just like Rocky buying it at the bar and it's like Johnny Red and just like burning everything. I'm like, that's actually like, Nice. I got to hear with a little bit of soda. So there you go.
Good to see you having a drink, mate. Been your first one this year.
Nah, not first one this year. I tell you what, it has not been a challenge though to like not drink. There's just been absolutely zero to do. But I think probably Kat, which it probably is, I'm grateful for too, because Kat's still breastfeeding. Like if she wasn't like breastfeeding, and it could get a little bit, we had someone to drink with and whatever, it probably would have been a little bit of a different story, just for like something different, you know. But parenting with a fucking hangover is parenting's hard. Parenting with a hangover is fucking even hard.
Yeah, I'll never forget my first hangover as a dad. It was rough.
It's rougher too if they're not involved in the night out, the mums, because then it's a little bit of night out. You're up. Like I've had her all night and all last night. You're up.
Let her up. Get it done, don't you?
What's plans for tomorrow?
Bugger all, mate. See the lawns. Try and have a line. Albie's favourite pastimes. I mean, I can't complain because he's a great sleeper and has pretty much slept through from 4 months. But yeah, he's get up time has always got a 5 in front of it. Monday through Sunday.
That's rough. 6:30, 7 a.m. Scarf's get up time.
Both of them early. You got 8:30 for Mateo.
6:30. I don't mind 6:30 because like I need to be up 7.
How do you get that? What's your routine?
I don't know. We co-sleep still, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like maybe she just started getting up. She's always kind of gotten up at 8, and then she'll usually go down for a nap at like 10:30, 11, and she'll sleep for like hour and a half, and then up in the afternoon. And then if she goes for a nap at like 3:34, then she'll go to bed at like 8:30. But sometimes she won't get that second nap till 4:30. And if she's asleep past 5, like she won't go down till like 9:30, 10. And then if she's going down at 9:30, 10, she's kind of sleeping through till 8:30 the next morning. But yeah, no complaints from here. It is like,
how long do you stay up after she goes down?
No, we go down too.
Yeah, we there?
Yeah. She used to go down at 8 and she'd sleep for like a 2.5 hour block, no dramas. And so it used to be an awesome time to just get like a shitload of work done. But now we've kind of lost that. So unless I get up super early, which I don't like to do, like we're pretty lucky, obviously doing what we're doing and working from home. Like our mornings are awesome. Like Mateo kind of wakes up 8:30, and the first hour of our day normally is just like the 3 of us like playing around, having a cuddle and that sort of stuff in bed, like off to slow starts most mornings. Like I'm not, unless I've got an online PT or when gyms are open Friday mornings, I'll take like the 6 and 7 a.m. class. But even then, like I'm finished at 8, I'm back at home by 8:30, just as the girls are getting up. So you still kind of get that time and have brekkie and stuff, which has been, awesome. So I don't know if the co-sleeping has helped with that, because she's just kind of fallen into more of like our routine unintentionally, but yeah.
Have you got plans to get her in her own bed or not at the moment?
For sure. Like I think we're obviously moving back to mum's, like we've Georgie bought her, we bought her, Auntie Georgie got her a floor bed. We wanted to get her a floor bed to transfer her out of because she's pretty like boisterous during the night. So the floor bed looks like it's like this little princess castle thing, and it's got like basically a fence around it and a mattress on it. So we kind of got that before her birthday, and the plan was to start to move her in there. She was napping in her room during the day and that sort of stuff. And then obviously we've kind of been back here for the last 5 weeks now. So once we head back home, it'll start to be more intentionally like putting her down in there for at least like the start of most nights. And we'll see how we go from that point. So I don't really like, that's the one that basically does the work with her and is obviously breastfeeding, and she does nurse a lot overnight still. So it's more that it's been convenient and easy for Kat, right? So, and the better she's sleeping and the better mood she's in, obviously the better mood and the moral everyone else is sleeping too. So
True story.
yeah.
Whatever works, eh?
Yeah, exactly right. So yeah.
And Ackers, what are you doing about the gym life with it being closed? How's that all working?
Oh, look, it's been real good. So we originally thought it was only going to be a couple of weeks because the last one was a couple of weeks. So the last lockdown 5, we didn't do any Zoom classes. We just sent the equipment out. A few people paused. And then we, whatever happened. And then obviously it started to look like it was going to go longer. So we do 3 Zoom classes a week for a few people just to keep some people motivated. The majority of people that we've given equipment to send us videos. So we've kind of divvied up the athletes a little to somewhat, which is the direction the business is kind of going anyway. And we just get video sent to us, and then we just send videos back every 4, 5, 6 days. So that keeps people somewhat going, which is good. But it is literally a roller coaster. And the hardest part I find is that you don't want to be annoying, because I'm constantly checking in on people. I check in on people probably every 3 or 4 days, especially if I haven't heard from them. Sometimes I like to give them a little bit more time and space if I know they're kind of having a bit of a hard time, because I don't want to be that annoying guy that's like, hey, when are you going to do your workout? Because 90% of the check-ins are just, making sure they're okay first. Hey, how are you? What's going on? How's work going? Because some people that are still working, even though, they're thankful they've still got their jobs have gotten exponentially harder due to the circumstances that they're in as well. So I fully understand, the difficulty of it. So it's like trying to meet people where they're at on that wave and, support them in any way, shape or form. So we've been very lucky because our community is super supportive. So that's been really good. Hello, our cheeky monkey's just finished her bath. Come say hello.
I gotta relocate as well.
Come here. Hello. Come here, Scar.
Someone's having an early night. Hello, darling.
Look at that hair.
Oh.
When's Matea getting here, BJ?
It's coming in. She's rocking the mad scientist look at the moment. She's got the the old bloke from Back to the Future when it's always just like, ooh.
Hello.
The old Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah, she's got the mohawk going.
She does have a bit of fluff in the old center right there.
Yeah, she's very fair and she's very fluffy, and sometimes when she gets all worked up and her face goes red, it makes her hair look red too.
That's Ben. You're pointing at Ben.
Hi, Scar.
Look at that, man. Oh, she's a very tired girl. She only slept for 45 minutes in the middle of the day today, so she's probably going to go down like a dream.
Easy. Are you using the nursery now primarily?
Yeah, so from New Year's Eve, we that was the first night we put her in, and she's been in there every night since. What we typically do is, if she wakes up, she's normally a pretty good sleeper, but if she wakes up in the middle of the night and if Tracy gets up to settle her, Tracy will try and settle her, get her out and rock and put her back down. I'll try for 3 seconds and then I just grab her and put her in bed with us. And normally she sleeps pretty well. Lucky it's not her go-to. It doesn't happen every night. It might happen maybe twice a week at most, maybe once a week. And most times she's actually good in between us. She'll sleep longer when she's in bed with us, but every now and then she'll just have a night where she's kicking me. He has her feet on my side or her arms in Tracy's face or vice versa.
Yeah.
She'll sleep crossways in the bed. Luckily, we've got a big bed, and me and Tracy are only small people.
Oh, bro, when we at home, we've got a king size bed, and then when we moved into Mum, we're back in a queen, and Matea sleeps horizontally a lot of
yeah.
It's just I'm on the edge like this.
Yeah.
The cat's she's in the middle, don't crush her, and I'm like, whoa.
Get out of the damn way.
I was on the floor then, I guess. Fuck me, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's been some nights where it's you roll over and you're like, yeah, sucker. And Tracy's in a small ball. And in our beds, we got a king bed.
Yeah.
And I'm I've got a lot of room. Scarlett's got the most room. And then there's other nights when it's the opposite. I'm on Dexy's bed next to my bed, practically. You can't have this. But it is nice. Like, it is one of those things, some of the nights where she's in bed with us, and then that first hour or two, like say 6, when she normally wakes up at 6:30, she'll sometimes snooze long, not as much the last probably month or so, but probably like months, I don't know, 9 through 12, she'd just have a snuggle with you from, you know, if it was my sleep-in day, 6 a.m. till 7:30, 8 a.m. or something like that. And it was real nice.
Yeah, nice. Is she, are you guys still breastfeeding?
You cheeky dog. No, we're not breastfeeding, Benjamin. Why do you ask?
Well, my question was going to be like overnight, does she feed or does she?
No. Well, so she would, and then what's that? And then she weaned herself off for some crazy reason. Yeah. Ben wants the MTMM exclusive again. Huh? So yeah, now we're expecting baby number 2 in March.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so it was crazy. So what ended up happening was Scarlett was thank you, cheers, congratulations. What ended up happening was
you're gonna need a heaps bigger bed.
Yeah. So I can't remember the order of it now, and I'm sure Tracy will correct me later, but she was doing maybe one overnight feed, and then after a while it was just morning and night on a good one towards the end there. And she started slowly weaning herself off, and then out of nowhere she just fully stopped. And probably, I don't even know how many weeks after that, we found out we were pregnant. So, and it was the story as it goes is I get a text message from Tracy being like, the first time when she told me that we were pregnant with Scarlett, I actually just got home. She called me. She's like, "There's a present here from the gym for you." I'm like, "Oh, that's weird." Like, everyone shopped up a present for you. I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I come home and she gives me this box, and it's a box, and it's basically her telling us that we're pregnant. So I wasn't involved in the pregnancy test or anything like that with Scarlett. And then this time, Tracy's like, messaged me at work, and she's like, "We should do a pregnancy test tonight because I just walked to the fridge to get a frosty fruit, and the last time I craved a frosty fruit, I was pregnant." And so I'm like, well, very funny, blah, blah, blah. So we take the pregnancy test, and sure enough.
Did you film it? You'd have filmed it.
Of course we filmed it. It's hilarious because I'm now the one turning the stick, and I don't know plus or minus. I didn't read the box beforehand. Tracy sorted that out. Scarlett's in the bath because our bathroom and laundry are literally a meter from each other. And Tracy's filming Scarlett. She's right next to her, and then filming me. And then I'm in the laundry looking at this thing that's flat, and I flip it over. She's like, "You scared?" I'm like, "I'm not scared," because I was 100% we were not having a baby. Flip it over, and I look at it, and it's a plus. I'm like, "Oh my God, that means only one thing." And then Tracy's like, if it's a plus, it's a baby. If it's a minus, it's not a baby. And then she thought I was making fun of her, saying we're pregnant. And then I turned it around, and she's like, I don't know. So
Congrats, Trace.
Thank you.
Congrats, Scarlett.
Very exciting. This is Scarlett with less crazy hair, getting ready for bed. So yeah, Scarlett is going to be a big sister. So we're going to do what we did last time, not find out, because it was just a pretty cool experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, now baby number 2, March 2022.
Bloody hell, mate.
She'll be out of lockdown by then.
Doubt it.
Probably not. Yeah. So that's
I wonder if we'll be might be in lockdown 8 by that point. Maybe you might be lucky. We might have had a couple of weeks in between.
Yeah, before we get our third jabs.
That's it.
Can they keep doing it? Can they keep it locked down?
Surely not. How can they afford it?
Surely every time we lock down, the compliance gets a little bit less and people get a little bit. And now that we've done it 6 times and everything's actually getting higher, you're just it's not fucking doing anything.
Well, that's what it almost feels like with this lockdown in terms of with the case numbers going on. Obviously, this one exponentially more. But when they're like, 200 cases, 40 of them were in isolation, that means 160 people were not at home.
And
you can't tell me all 100
cases. How are we still getting mystery cases?
Yeah. Also, you can't tell me 160 of them are essential workers, right? Like, what are the chances of that happening? So, and they're obviously really, they don't want people going to, well, now they're letting people back at parks, but they don't want people going to parks and they don't want people going to each other's houses, which is where the spread's probably coming from. So,
Well, it gets fucking harder too when it's 27 degrees and beautiful after a miserable winter like it was on Thursday.
yeah, 100%. Yeah. But I feel like we're close. Someone I was chatting to the other day made a good point that we're definitely closer to the end of this thing than we are to the start of it. And that's probably the only real way to look at it, really. Like, as if you're always thinking that we're going to be in, because potentially we will, but hopefully not to the same extent, right?
I've been trying to tell myself that I've only got till the end of COVID to get strong before the gym opens up. So every day that we go through lockdown is one day closer to things opening up. So I'm running out of time. It's helped. Like, it has helped. For
Yeah.
sure.
And look, I think a lot of people are going to look back on it and be like, God, I had more time than probably what I've ever had in it. And it's like, it's one of those things at times, not always the answer.
Yeah.
You got to do it, like, take your mindset with it. And then that's not a bad thing. You should for sure, having days where you don't want to do anything is fine. But I think the longer we go through it, for me, I'm finding it easier, even with, I think whatever it is, I think Jess from Project Better put up the other day that gyms have been shut down for 270 days or something crazy since last year. And it's like, it is getting easier to some extent, just psychologically at the very least.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. It's fucking boring. Like, that's my biggest thing with it. It's it's like, for us, and like, we work from home, so it hasn't been too much of a change, but it's like every day is fucking exactly the same,
For sure. When I say easier, I just more mean in terms of like that wave where, like, in one of the lockdowns before, I just really like was getting the bare minimum done to service the members that we've got, right? Like, and it was not, people feel that even if they don't say anything about it, like, they would feel that, the check-ins are coming, longer apart, and things like that. So I suppose it's making it easier to do a better job, kind of accepting. Can't really do much about it now anyway. It's going to happen.
Do you think it's been easier because they're saying this time, like, it's going to be at least another 4 weeks, as opposed to like pretending we're just going to take it a week at a time? Yeah, I
would say so. I would say that, like, that if one of my clients said that he actually said when this first started, it's going to be a minimum of 12 weeks, and they're going to do 12 1-week extension. And I was like, if they do 12 1-week extensions, I think I'll lose my mind.
Yeah.
Just if you think that's the plan, I'm sorry, guys, we're just going to have to rip it like a Band-Aid. It's 12 weeks minimum. Because you can make plans for that. You can figure solutions out. Like, now that we know that it's 4 weeks, we've brought the Zoom classes back. We'll do a trivia night. One of our other clients suggested doing like a kind of a Cards Against Humanity online night as well. Like, it gives us opportunity to plan for things. Like, when it was only going to be 2 weeks, like, yeah, you could do who wants to come to a trivia night when it's going to be 2 weeks? But when people have been locked up for 4 weeks, a trivia night sounds more appealing over Zoom.
It's going to be harder with probably Guards is in a better mood now that there's no footy season really left. But I always find, like, the lockdowns during winter, at least there's something to watch, like 8 somethings to watch every game. I don't think I've ever been this into footy.
I actually don't think I've ever watched any less football than I have currently.
I haven't watched football in 2 years.
Or cared as much. I mean, I'm barracking for the Bulldogs after what they did for me last week, but
what are you back for normally?
I'm a Carlton supporter, unfortunately, it's actually never really interested me more. I think taking the fans away from the game, and I'm someone who goes every week at least 9 out of 10 games that we're playing in Melbourne. I conscientiously object to the 4:40 slot on a Sunday, but every other game I'm usually there. So it's taken something. It's taken something out of my week that I ordinarily really enjoy, and it's time with my dad as well, because we go together.
Yeah.
That we've missed out on whilst on the topic of Father's Day. But, again, there's a whole lot worse places to be than right here, and a whole lot worse off people than I am right now. So I try not to complain.
Do you find you talk to your dad's more about being a dad and about parenting in general? Like, do you find that you tend to have conversations or not? Or
Not really. Not really. He when he's here and with us, certainly. Like he said the other day, he's like LB's busier than you were, and all I've had for the last 33 years is how busy and how much work I was. So it sucks to be me by the sounds of it. But no, I think it's funny, the dynamic between father and son. Like I think his advice will come as my son gets a little bit older. Right now, I think, you know, everyone wings it to a degree. But yeah, I don't know how involved he was at this point in my life or anything like that. So maybe it's food for thought. Maybe we should yarn about it.
have you found something to fill the gap now that you're not going to the footy? Are you still finding time to catch up regularly, or is it you find you're speaking, catching up?
Yeah. So we see, so every Wednesday is Grandparents' Day at our house. So Francesca's mum will come and her dad will pop his head in if he's working local or if he's got the chance to. And then after lunch, my folks come, and every second Wednesday they'll hang around and cook us a meal, which is real handy. Still no substitution like a home cooked meal by your parents when you're hard up and you know, for time and energy. So no, we catch up on very regularly, and on the week where I'll miss him, you know, I'll chat to him probably twice a week.
That's
One of those conversations will go for all 30 seconds when I ask him how his team went, or if he's back to winner.
Yeah, he must be. But they've still been doing races, haven't they? Just with no crowd.
Oh yeah, he's staying busy, but he's, you know, work's taking a hit for him as well, because it's one of the first thing people cut out of their budgets if, you know, they're unable to trade or sell is advertising. So advertising's, you know, with the exception of the big boys, you know, with the really key accounts, advertising's really struggling as well. So, put it this way, the backyard's looking pretty nice at mum and dad's.
Yeah, nice. And you, Ackers, you talk to Max about it much?
Not necessarily. The only probably had a couple of conversations out at a Bucks party one time talking about, you know, I think me and one of my mates he was, I don't even know, 6 weeks off having his first as well. And just probably saying, my dad was in the conversation just about how unexpectedly hard that first 4-6 weeks is, that nobody talks to you about it. And I remember telling him about it, being like, all you're going to be thinking about is the birth, and it's all that you're going to prep for. And then you're going to get home and you're going to you're not going to know what to do, and your partner's going to need support, and you're going to need support. And it's just, yeah, the lack of sleep, all that type of stuff. You're just not prepared for it, and you get through it and you're fine. But I remember having that conversation when you go to bed.
Yeah. Good night, Daddy.
Good night. You say goodbye.
Night.
Bye.
Say nice.
Night.
Bye bye. So that's probably the only obvious conversation I've probably had with him about it. But as I think I'm similar to Gards in that I think it'll come as we get older, because I don't know, mum is more likely to probably tell me that I was probably similar to her. My sister was probably worse than her in terms of yelling or screaming or whatever it is. I can't even remember. But nothing yet. I haven't felt the need to be like, oh my God, what am I doing? I need some help here yet.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how having the second plays into it, and how much, because I always say the second one is completely different to the first, but I can't imagine that first 4 weeks is super different. Although more so that it's you've done it before, you've got a little bit of experience. It's not you're probably
That's what I'm hoping, is that as hard as it is managing it with Scarlett, the mindset is almost prepared. And look, Scarlett was pretty damn good, all things considered. And we were in lockdown, so my work hours became extremely flexible. And Grace, I remember, took 2 weeks. She took 2 weeks holiday from her other job so that she could cover everything that she needed to cover for us. So I was very fortunate that I almost actually had 2 weeks fully off, which I wasn't expecting to have, because we would have just come out of lockdown. And it's like, how do I take 2 more weeks off when we've just come out of that first lockdown? So I think it'll be easier in terms of just like, okay, I know that Tracy's probably going to be up feeding every 2 hours for the first, whatever it is, 2 weeks, whatever it is, maybe every now and then, every hour. And it's like, how do you, So mentally, I feel like it'll be easier, but then logistically with Scarlett, it could be more difficult.
Did you guys have the chat about number 2? Like, did you have an approximate, like timeline, like an ideal timeline? Obviously, if you were a bit surprised, you're obviously ahead of schedule. But had you guys had that conversation about like maybe to time it once? Because everyone talks about like usually like that 18-month to kind of 2-year time frame. Yeah. So we were planning on, I don't know, we had so many options. We were thinking, do we get the next house first and then do we start trying? Because obviously if we've got baby number 2, the finances get a little bit more difficult. Banks probably get a little bit less likely to lend you some money. So we're having that conversation. And then it was funny because it was like, I think, and do you know what, Tracy might have actually been pregnant at the time, but not long before Scarlett's first birthday, she had a bit of a moment. She's like, I feel like we've waited too long to start trying. Because obviously when we first started trying with Scarlett, there's a time. You don't know how long it's going to take. 6 months, 12 months. Friends of ours, it's taken years. And so there was that worry for that brief moment that had we put it off too long, obviously not long after that, we'd kind of fallen pregnant. So we hadn't set a specific date. Tracy kind of always said around by the time Scarlett was 1, I think she wanted to start actively trying, instead of just because like when you track everything and you kind of know when you're ovulating and stuff like that. Whereas I think she'd only barely started tracking it, and she was going to track it for a few months so that way she was on track with it before we probably started trying, but we just didn't need to. So we're very, very lucky. Yeah. And have you thought past 2?
Well, Tracy definitely wants 3.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how we go with 2.
Fuck.
But if it was up to Tracy, if we had all the money in the world, I think Tracy'd go for 5.
5.
Yeah, 100%.
I always think like past 3 is like, you got to get a new car. You need like a fucking minivan. Like we went to Apollo Bay last Christmas when things opened up, and we've got the Jeep, and we still had to get Tez to come past the house because you throw Matea in the back seat and then the dog in the boot. Like you are out of room. Like I can only imagine how that gets bigger with more kids, right? Yeah.
Well, you were at Box Hill, Nicole Avery, Supermum. They had 5 kids. I always think of that. And
no wonder she's a time management expert.
She has a blog playing with kids that has 70,000 people follow her, right? Like, and one of Tracy's. So I always think to that. And I'm like, it definitely can be done, because I'm pretty sure both her and her husband are quite successful in the careers that they've chosen, as well as their kids seem pretty amazing from when I've the few times I've met them. And Tracy volunteers every year at Camp Spina Bifida, and one of her favorite families up there, they're a family of 5 as well. So she sees, like, that's what I think has interested her in that. Whereas for me, 3, we both come from a family of 3. So it's like, I think that's our,
that's the norm.
They're a family of 6. She's corrected me just now. Yeah. So let's just keep it at 3. We'll halve that. We'll go half your best family.
That's like 6 kids is like you've been pregnant for a decade, pretty much.
Mate, you're changing nappies for like 14 years, if that's the case. Depending on the break between them. That's one thing that surprised me. Nappies, not that I changed as many as Tracy for sure, but I always thought that I'd be a dry reacher and then I would be, I couldn't deal with the smell and stuff like that, but I haven't had any issues with Scarlett's.
I think it gets worse. I think like I definitely noticed a difference once you start introducing solids, and I think it gets worse as it
Yeah. Well, I haven't noticed that. I haven't personally. It definitely smells a little bit different, but not like where I've had some people be like, it's unbearable when they start eating solids. I haven't had that yet.
Yeah. Maybe it depends who you be. What about you, Jack? Have you and Cheska like talked timelines? You'd definitely be more than a one-child family for sure, wouldn't you?
Yeah, 100%. But I don't know. We've got a few ducks to get in a row this year. Few goals to kick. We've been able to hit our mortgage, so
We've got to fill that fourth bedroom, mate.
Well, there's 3 of the 4 bedrooms are shoe boxes, so
Cots.
I'm worried about if I go beyond 2. If so we've got 3 jack-sized children.
Yeah.
We'll outgrow this place pretty quickly. But no, we sort of got this joint, with the park behind us and the big yards and the court, the cul-de-sac means the kids are going to rear themselves. So yeah, definitely a second to start, and who knows beyond that. I don't think there's we're not planning that far in advance. But look, we'd love to see a second baby next year. I just don't know when or how it's going to come together.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got a few things to line up professionally before we even entertain the idea. So
What about you, Benny?
Yeah, well, man, ours is up in the air. Like, well, obviously, we're in a situation where I guess IVF almost works to your advantage for a point of it, because you're in a little bit more control. Like, I mean, we could try all we want, but fucking given our history, like, you just be beating the dead horse. So, we're like, I know Kat is obviously very, very keen to do a stint back to Canada. So when we came back, like we never realized it was going to be obviously 3 years before we got the opportunity to go back. So, obviously Kat's parents, Matea's over a year old now too, and still hasn't met her grandparents like face to face. So I know that there's obviously some desire from them to meet their first grandchild as well. But I also know that like Kat, like we're thinking like early next year, and maybe dependent on what the situation looks like with international travel. It looks like things will open up for potentially like a January or February, maybe we'll go. And even if it's just a quick trip to meet the grandparents and kind of do a little bit of like the VIP kind of tour and come back. It just sort of depends on what things look like. But if we get to Jan or Feb next year and it still looks like it's a ways off, the easier option might be to start on the second child and then maybe look to get Kat's mum and dad maybe come here for a visit instead of us going back there. But it's a tough decision. Like, it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's Kat's decision, because I know she wants to get back to Van, and if we decide to have baby number 2, you're looking at least another 18 months before we get back from that point. So travel insurance when you're pregnant is super hard. It gets even harder when the baby's IVF, because they can actually put a monetary value on the amount that's been spent to get to pregnancy, which they won't cover. So past like 26 weeks, they'll insure the mum, but not bub. So if something did happen while we were over there, you're basically up for all the expensive costs, right? And then BC in particular too, they're at like 1,200 cases a day. So do we want to take Matea unvaxxed into that with like no free healthcare because she's not Canadian? So a little bit more of a complicated situation, but I think a long explanation drawn out. What I foresee happening is probably look to do baby number 2 Jan Feb next year, and probably then look to try to get Kat's parents out here. This is probably the option.
Yeah.
So
added dimension.
Yeah.
Tricky.
Yeah, it's tricky, but it's, I don't know. It's it's still hard to believe. Like I said, when I moved to Canada, my old man was pretty much like, oh, I guess this will be the last time I see you. And he was pretty convinced that I'd be gone before, or he'd be gone before I made it back. And I remember saying to my sister, like, if something happens, don't do me a favor by keeping me in the dark. Tell me, because I'll be back. I can be back within 14 hours if something.
Yeah.
And I think even we came back here, you would never assume that would never be the case. And I think that probably an inability to get back has, for Kat especially, made Canada and everyone in Canada feel that much further away, you know? So,
Yeah.
Even my sister in Thailand, like even Laura hasn't met Matea yet, right?
How are they going in Thailand?
Fucking knows. Like, who knows? Like, their cases are kind of all over the place. I know she's just had her first Pfizer dose, which I don't know if because I think it might have been the States or someone donated a whole bunch of shots that they actually were able to prioritize foreigners that were there or something. I don't know.
So annoyed if you're a local.
But like, who knows with the numbers that come out? But you had to go into Bangkok or something to get the shot. So you have to go out into the red zone to potentially get. So you potentially get COVID by going to get the vaccine.
Yeah.
But there's a pretty cool thing. They're obviously pretty keen to get tourists back. So they're making Phuket Island like where you would go to quarantine. So basically, they can just have everyone quarantine in the same place and actually make the 2 weeks like an exotic beach 2-week holiday while you're quarantining rather than being like locked in a hotel, which is fucking smart. Like that is.
I was going to say, normally these days, you're not partying, right? These days, if you're going now, you're going with your family. So you're not going into Patong or whatever it's called, Bangla Road, stuff like that. You would probably, if I went to Thailand, would just want to sit by the pool for 2 weeks, right? After everything that's been happening. So,
well, if you're going to do 2 weeks where you're like not allowed to leave your immediate residence, like you'd rather be on the beach.
I'll go.
Yeah. Take one for the team rather than,
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see if they try to utilize something similar as a transit point. So you can do your Australian quarantine in Thailand on your way back from Europe and stuff like that. That'd probably be the play. And if that's the play, then fuck, put my hand up to go to Thailand. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think are they talking about potentially early next year that will just start making people do their quarantine at home?
Once you hit the vax targets, you can quarantine at home. So I think, once you get to that point,
That would make it so different. If you were told to stay at home for 2 weeks versus like one of the guys I follow on Instagram and YouTube, he went to the games, did some filming footage and whatnot, and then came back and spent 2 weeks in a bloody hotel room.
Yeah.
Literally in a hotel room. He did all of his exercise in the hotel room. He got gym equipment dropped off to him. Like, imagine being told you couldn't leave the hotel room for 2 weeks. Huh?
Who was it?
Vakey. His name's on YouTube. His name's spelt WYKS Wix, but it's Vakey is his name. But he's like a influencer. He used to own a couple of CrossFit boxes, and he just does. I don't even know what he does for a living, but he's does the social media for brands and stuff like that. By the looks of it, and it looked cool. But sitting in a hotel room for 2 weeks by yourself, even if you are working out every day, you can only work out for so much time in a 24-hour period.
Bro, how's Cara Webb? Sorry, guys. One more like minute on like CrossFit, but how's Cara Webb getting fucking COVID on the plane to the States? How fucked is that?
Sucks.
Going all the way over there,
tries to
get
compete
COVID
with
on the
it.
plane, have to pull out from the games to then have to come back and quarantine for 2 weeks with no kid. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, because she was already heartbroken that she had to leave her kid for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That'd be tough. That'd be fucking tough.
How you feeling ahead of your second Father's Day without the great man, BJ?
Yeah, it's been interesting, man. It's been an interesting time. Obviously, we sold the house in July. So we spent the first kind of 6 months or the last 12 months, like every time you're there is kind of like flashback city, right? Mm-hmm. And then I think that kind of selling the house is, once it settles, I think that'll be like obviously going through everything and cleaning it all up. And Jesus, mate, like I can't tell you how it's filled up. But I think it was pretty therapeutic in a way too, which was nice. But I like that's why I guess I asked the question before, like a lot of like I guess stuff that I think about or whatever, and being a father would be nice to ask the question, or like, did you like, were these thoughts that you had, or like, you know, what was your approach and stuff? But I think we're also, from what I can gauge from my mum too, like men of very different generations with very different ideas of what like parenting is and what the role of like you as a dad, like what you want it to stand for and want it to be. So they would have been interesting conversations for sure. But yeah, it feels strange to, I guess, be the patriarch. I've got this joke with Georgie where like she's the most responsible one, but I'm the one with the most responsibility. So yeah, It's cool. Being a dad's fucking cool. Like it's the best quote I've heard, I think, was a Josh Bridges quote where he's like, it's like joining a club that once you join, you wonder what took you so long to try to get in. And I'm pretty glad that I was in the position that we were in when we decided to become a dad, because I think becoming a father in your mid-20s, when really you're trying to sort out who you are as a person and what you stand for, and it's hard enough looking after yourself. So I'm glad that it's been at this point in my life that I'm a dad, but I fucking love being a dad. I love it.
Me too. I'm just picturing you, me, and Summers as fathers living at Glass Street.
Well, I love that you got Elby a matching robe. You definitely were the patron.
You know what? He does this thing where he sees us telling off the dog. So every time he sees the dog, he's like, "Wah, wah." and I had him in his we were in our matching robes, and I was like, Yogi, oh, he's just poked his head up now, the poor thing. You're right, good boy. And then Elby's got his robe on too, and he's going, "Wah, wah, wah." Very, very amusing.
Are is Scarlett or Elby, are you guys close to talking, or just a lot of like the kind of chatterbox kind of like gibberish?
Chatterbox, all the main ones: dad, mum, duck, dog.
Yeah.
He's good with his D words. He started, I think my mother-in-law's been putting in a significant amount of work, because when she has him, all he says is nan, 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 nan. So I reckon she's been putting in some significant work. But he's definitely, his interpretation, and he's like, whenever you say, oh, you know, where's Yogi or where's this, he goes like that. He puts his little hands up like that. So he's starting to not only hear but interpret things that you're saying. And when I'm reading him the stories, he looks up at me. You know, when I put on a voice, or, you know, a tone in my voice changes. So I think he's, he'll be a talker. He won't shut the fuck
up. It's funny how much they do. Like sometimes it's almost scary when you turn around and you realize they're staring at you, how much they're actually like taking in.
Absorb everything.
Yeah. Like I remember when she was 3 or 4 months, like how much she'd already like grown and how like mature she was. And then I look at her now and I'm like, fuck, like it happens so fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Scarlett, she same as Guards, all the normal words that she says, but is starting to kind of try to copy us. So sing Row Row Your Boat, and so she'll kind of try to sing it. If we sing Twinkle Little Star, she's already doing the hand movements. Like it literally took her. We've got a Tracy's friend. It was an amazing gift. Highly recommend it. Bought a like a stool that goes against the bench top that they can crawl up into, and then at the same height as the bench, so that if you're cooking.
The Montessori Learning Tower or something that I think they're called.
Yeah, so it's like this thing here.
Yeah.
And so like she tried to climb up. I put it on my story, I don't even know, 10 days ago, of just like, check this chick out. She climbed up into it. First go, had a little fall. Second go, got it. And then put that video up. Literally 5 minutes ago, I'm looking at her. She's there. I look back, and then Tracy comes to here and she's like, oh my God, she's on the bench. So she's already climbing up in a matter of seconds. She's getting onto the bench. Like it's just, if she picks up a word, she'll have it. It's like, they're just sponges. It's so cool to see. Like, I feel like, I mean, sometimes if I'm working late, because sometimes I'll, Tuesday, Thursdays, I'll leave home 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, get home 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. And sometimes she's already down. It feels like if I don't see her for 2 of those days, she's just changed again. And I thought that was kind of like when people would say that, it was like, whatever, kids can't change. But they literally 24 hours, they can just be, was she doing that a day ago? Like, it's cool.
Yeah. Did you guys do swimming lessons? Have you started like swimming lessons and stuff like that?
I was supposed to start the day lockdown started.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I was booked in for the Wednesday, and I think we went into lockdown on Tuesday or something like that.
Yeah, he was going weekly last year, as early as, it was one of the first things I did as a kid was get dropped in the water. And and Francesca as well. So we're both keen to get him exposed to water, and he absolutely loves it. Loves the beach, loves the swimming pool. But yeah, haven't been able to do it since, and it's actually quite hard to get an appointment that works for you when it is open, because they only run age groups at certain times of day, and it just might not suit working parents. But no, he loves these swimming lessons.
I'm pumped for them to start. I actually went to a mummy and me group the other day before lockdown finished, and it's like, I don't even know if that's exactly what it's called, but it's like a music group, and then you've got someone that leads it, and then the kids have to come up, and I remember that was an experience because there was only one other bloke there, and it was just so amazing seeing these kids trying to guess what the other kids' ages were, because obviously, like, you could have a 10-month-old that's walking, and you could have another 14-month-old that's not walking. And this woman who was in charge of it was just so fantastic with the kids, and how she would get them to sit, and she'd give them the ball, and no, you can't do that, and then she wouldn't give them something until they'd sat down. And from the week that I went, Tracy went the first week, I went the second week. I don't think she was doing much walking, and then the second week that I was there, she's running around the room, and so that was cool to see her how quick she learned in that. But I'm pumped for when swimming lessons do come back, because that's on my daddy and me day.
Yeah, that was what I enjoyed about it the most. It was like, especially in the early months when they're so dependent on their mums, it was nice to have something that you could do that was just like me and Mateo. By me and Mateo, I mean and then Kat, on the
Yeah.
And we had a few instances where Mateo was just like not having a fucking bar of it, where I was like, swap, like somebody in. But it is funny when you're there and you see like another dad, and there's just that
Hey.
dad nod.
Yeah.
And I know we said this last year, so fuck, I hope it's not too far away, but it'd be cool if we can try to make almost like a regular catch up and just have the dads and the bubs, and hopefully do that down, at the park, and let them run around and stuff like that. Obviously I feel like we don't see enough of either of you two when things are open, and it's, been easier, but it's definitely.
Yeah. The last year or so has definitely been super hard, because it's like you spend the first 3 months out of lockdown getting you, seeing people you haven't seen for a while, catching up with people, especially with kids. Everyone wants to meet them, see them as much as they can. So that's made it more difficult. So hopefully we're out for an extended period this time, so it can happen.
I definitely think it's been an advantage that's, I think it'd be much harder having a 4 or 5-year-old and trying to explain to them that we've had to cancel your birthday party, your friends come over, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like Mateo doesn't know any different. He didn't have a baby shower. We still haven't got it baptized yet. My dad would be rolling over in his grave, speaking of. But all the first birthday. So got a list as long as my arm of makeup occasions that we have to.
We're very much the same. I still haven't met little Finley Summers, and he'll be 2 soon.
Yeah. That was actually cool, guys. I know you had your arm done, but Summer's birthday that we did actually get to catch up and had a couple of rugrats running around at that.
Yeah. Oh, look, it'll get there. I mean, they're probably suffering worse than us. I mean, he would have been locked down for 12 weeks, but
if you can call it that.
Yeah, true.
I had a chat to him. He's like, it's pretty hard. I'm mostly just playing a lot of golf. I'm like, oh, it sounds like you're doing it pretty tough there, bro.
I bet you he's still shit.
Nah, he's probably getting lessons. Do
you reckon he's doing it just so he can tell you and me out?
Probably. Be worth it.
Not a fair competition. I don't even have a 6-iron.
Being at Burnley.
Landfill.
Do you play, Ackers? You play golf?
Poorly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You fit right in.
I was, before Scar was born, I was part of a social club that they play once a month, and then they go to Shepparton every year. I was definitely the worst there. I got, what's the called? I got the Naga one year at the Shepparton week. Have you heard of what Naga is?
No.
Not a golfer's asshole. It's the person that comes dead last.
No.
Yeah.
Never had that award.
What's that?
Never won that award, mate.
Well, it's funny. So this particular, they call it the Turak Social Club, this particular golf group, and most of the blokes are in their plus 50s. And so they've started getting the young blood in. So one of the blokes got his son in, Ants, and I grew up with Ants, and Ants got Jace in, and then Jace got me in. And so we're the young blood, and we've got a Facebook Messenger chat of like, all right, when we're catching up for a hit or whatever. Those boys play a lot more often than I do. But in that group, we have, I think it's like 4 out of 6 of us have won the Nugget in the last 6 years, whatever it is. So they're loving having us come on board because it means no, these blokes are getting it. But it's a good game.
I think maybe it's once you have kids too, you appreciate a 3-hour spell with just like
3 hours, like just 5 minutes on the pan is all you need sometimes to reset and just vibe, because and then often he does this thing when a door's closed, the way he thinks it opens is by banging his head on it. So you listen to him bang his head for 3 or 4 minutes and you're like, all right, I should probably stop this. I should probably put a stop to this.
He's definitely yours then, Gards.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. He is relentless.
It's getting to that 1-year-old mark and seeing them. It's not even cheeky, really. Like that, I guess it's just curiosity, like opening up in the fridge and pulling all the shit out of the cupboard and trying to sort everything out. And
there's an element of cheek to it already, I reckon.
Do you reckon there is?
For sure. Scarlett, every now and then when she's feeding Dexy, she's looking at us out of the corner of her eye being like, these guys hate when I do this.
yeah, maybe a little bit.
Yeah. She's so cheeky.
100%. He'll look me straight in the eye and put a little puncture mark in a tomato, mate.
Oh, we're
like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. There's a little fucking tooth mark in every little piece of fruit that's in the fruit bowl.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good fun. What's the score, Jack?
Goal the difference halfway through the second.
All
Who's
right,
playing?
I want to go in and watch it.
Who's playing?
Lions, Bulldogs.
Oh.
It's not that great a game at the moment. It's just...
What's depressing is around this time 3 years ago, maybe 2019, no, 2017, 4 or 5 years ago, we were in Port Douglas on a big family holiday. The Tigers were playing. I'm not that I'm a Tiger supporter, but with the house we were with, some of the family that we were staying with are big Tiger supporters. So we're in Port Douglas. There's a pool in the backyard. The weather's gorgeous. We're 10 minutes from a pub, having drinks, watching the footy, and it's like we're talking over Zoom. And this actual weekend coming, I was supposed to be in Cairns. So me and Tracy were hopefully going to make the trip down to Port Douglas with Scarlett because we got engaged in Palm Cove. We obviously we can't make it to Cairns because we cut COVID because I was going up to coach in a competition. But what were you going to say about Palm Cove?
Do you remember James Herring, Jack?
Yeah.
He's just postponed his wedding for the second time. He's supposed to be getting married in Palm Cove, which is just south of Cairns, slightly. I could not think of I didn't have a great huge hand in like the planning and execution of our wedding, but I could not think of anything that would be more frustrating to trying to organize and plan at the moment than like nuptials.
Yeah, it would suck. It would suck. And there's literally thousands of people who more, even maybe tens of thousands who have had to reschedule once, some twice.
Yeah.
I reckon I've got for next year between January or maybe February and May, I reckon we've got like 6 weddings. And it's just even that far away, you're like, fuck, I hope like by that point we're at a point where like those things can go ahead.
I've got one of our we've got a member of ours and one of my coaches who are supposed to be getting married like towards the end of November, and it's like you just be like, are we not? How many are we going to have? Like, do you postpone it now so that you potentially get a sooner date? Because I know someone else that went to postpone it and it was going to be the same date was going to be 2 years later. It's crazy. What do you do?
It's a disaster. And then venues are, have a huge wait time attached as well. So
Yeah.
everyone, you just get pushed back. People lose deposits.
Buy the house. Ackers, buy the house.
I'm buying a house.
Instead of the wedding, just buy the house. Easier.
Yeah.
Have a party on the back deck.
Yeah. Love that. My parents' old house in Forest Hill, probably not far from what street's yours?
We're in Doncaster. We're in Doncaster East.
Oh, I thought you were another wedding.
No. You know where Cam is?
Yeah.
We're like 2 streets behind Cam, like over the Eastern.
Oh yeah. Suppose you're not there training every day.
Lockdown.
Me? Yeah.
Like you're the only one at the factory, you know?
Yeah. What are you talking about?
We trained the last lockdown that there was, because Cam's got like or maybe not even the last one, it might have been even last summer because it was warm. Because it was warm, he's got all that, like the pull-up bar and the rings and everything outside. So we were doing a bit of work together when the gyms were shut. I think we hadn't started at Blackburn yet. So
just a quick question. Are they metal rings or are they wooden rings?
Cams?
Yeah.
Wooden rings.
I've heard of wooden rings exploding when they've been left in the rain.
No,
like
they're undercover. They're undercover.
Even so, in elements. A dude in Cranbourne severely hurting, almost severed his neck, land on his neck because when he went to do a muscle up, the ring exploded because it had been left out in the rain.
If there is one thing that I would never trust myself doing, it's installing my own rings for muscle ups.
No way. When that happens, yeah. I mean,
I'm trying to convince Mum to let me attach a pull-up bar out the front of the garage here. So far, no good.
Yeah. Just get a pull-up bar like on a squat rack or something.
I've been doing, I'll put the barbell on the squat rack here and just like do pull-ups to the barbell, but it's just like, how am I supposed to butterfly?
Had to get another beer while you two were talking about kipping chin-ups and muscle ups.
Big chin-ups.
That's it's all Ben right there.
Guards, I've been flirting with the idea of doing a preseason and potentially playing footy next year just because I've missed it that much. But I don't want to do a whole preseason and then you play one game and it's like season's off because we're locked back down again.
But what's worse would be you do that one game and you're like, I don't really want to play anymore. You got 20 games to go.
I'll fake a hamstring, a long hamstring.
Yeah, classic. Do the calf, old man injury.
The old man injury.
How are you going to pull that calf?
It'll be interesting to see what things look like. I remember thinking when lockdown first started, like everyone's like, why would you ever go back to working in an office? Like surely everyone just like takes the work from home option and that's the way things go. But it's kind of gone the other way where you see people like, I'd fucking do anything to be able to go into the office, even just like 1 to 2 days a week, just to break things up a bit.
I think that'll be the sweet spot.
That'll be the new norm.
Yeah, I think it'll be 2 days at home, 3 days, or vice versa. Sorry, 3 days at home, 2 days in the office, something like that. Because you need to get that social aspect of it.
Yeah. Go for brunch. Just the small things. It's like those little things. Go to the gym. Go get like sit down in a cafe and have your coffee there as opposed to having to wait outside and walk off with it.
Yeah.
Be able to like see family, catch up with mates.
I'm finding every new home we build, people are forgoing an additional bedroom or like a media room for a home office, and like a decked out home office with, you know, hardwired internet instead of Wi-Fi and, you know, watt boosters and just decking themselves out to work from home for always and forever.
Yeah.
Instead of having that additional bedroom.
Has it been busy, guards? You still been busy?
Yeah. We're very lucky because it's all old money. We're busier than ever. It's funny. And you know, busier with a similar amount of work, but just the builds are getting a whole lot more involved. You know, the clients are watching home renovation shows and you know, they live and breathe and get obsessed with their, you know, their dream homes and their projects for years, it drags out the pre-build, you know, by an additional probably 3 months. And that's if there isn't planning and dispensations and things like that. So it's getting more complicated, but there's a steady flow of inquiries, and as many as we take on, we knock back. So because we just can't facilitate them all. So yeah, really lucky.
Nice.
Have you found renovating, mate?
Again, mate, similar to wedding planning. Just seem to finance the thing, but don't have much to do with the. That's Kat's project. I mean, we were lucky because we had a mate of ours who's a builder who, like, for our wedding present was like, when you guys find your house and you want some work to do it, like, our present is like a couple of days of labor from the boys and that sort of stuff. So kind of rang in that favor. And another mate who's probably hopefully listening, Matty Cowan's like doing the electrical work, and Rock's done the plumbing, and so we've been pretty lucky on that regard. But it's just project management, and there's just seems to be like when something happens, it's everyone blames the trade that's not in the room as the reason. Like, so it's been good to learn. There's definitely lessons that I've learned. Like, we probably had the tiler come in and do the tiles too early because, like, Kat's trying to paint the roof now that the plaster is finished, and she's fucking terrified she's going to drip like paint onto like the new bath and the vanity and the new tiles and like all the rest of it. So good lessons learned, which is like the first time you do anything, you're going to learn all those lessons for sure. But yeah, I think definitely once you start thinking about baby number 2, you start thinking like you said, the 3rd bedroom that we've got in Doncaster is the home office. So we've got 2 beds. You start thinking 2 kids can probably share the 1 bedroom for, the next 3-4 years, probably. But it starts to feel like when we moved into Doncaster from living upstairs at mum's and living in a 1-bedroom condo in Canada before then, like Doncaster felt like a fucking mansion. Like there was just like, we were like echoing down the corridor. Like it felt like it was so big. And then as soon as you have Matea and like all the stuff that comes with having a baby, it's like, where do you put the pram? Where do you put the playmat? Where do you put this? Where do you put that? The cots and the change tables and the rocking chairs. And all of a sudden, like the house is like, oh, it's feeling pretty.
There's shit everywhere.
Yeah. They come with a lot of stuff. So, and the dog too, although fucking dog's on her last legs, unfortunately. So.
Not doing well?
Nah, not doing very well at all. She probably only got another week or 2, I think, at the most, unfortunately.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sucks.
So, but yeah, so I don't know, like we're probably thinking the same thing that Ackers is thinking, and always looking around and stuff like that. But
Come down to see them, mate.
Like we flirted with the idea of Mount Martha when things were kind of starting to go crazy. It was like heading down there for a little bit. But I think it's too far for mum. Like, I can't tell you how.
Mum's coming with you.
But yeah, that's what I'm telling her. I'm trying to tell her to do that.
Granny flat out the back.
You start looking at like 4 beds, like fucking hell. There's just prices are just fucking crazy, And
in those areas, unfortunately, yeah.
Like we've been looking at like Templestowe way. But I don't really want to go as far as Eltham. Like we still want to be 20-25 minutes from mum's at the most. Otherwise it's an hour round trip. The longer that goes, the older mum gets, the further that becomes, So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and you kind of want to be within a Bull's Roar of George as well. So
yeah, and Doncaster's worked well for that because the eastern from Chandler to Doncaster Highway actually makes it easier to get to Richmond than it does to get from Burwood. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, property's gone mad absolutely everywhere. I know.
Well,
I wouldn't be wanting to look for a house at the moment.
Like even down near you guys now, with everyone working from home, like the peninsula lifestyle becomes way more accessible when you're only going into the city 1 or 2 days a week, potentially. It's gone fucking crazy down there.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Maybe we should be doing the opposite. We should be looking in a city.
Nah, I don't think that. I don't think that reverse cycle, mate. Real estate agents' heads are just wobbling in every suburb, mate. Doesn't matter whether you're deep in the downs or if you're in back in the 3-1-2-1. They're all making money.
Yeah.
Be tough at the moment for them, I reckon. I know that they're selling, but if you can't get someone to look at a house at the moment, it'd be tough. This last lockdown would be tough.
Bro, we registered interest in this house in Templestowe, and the agent's trying to book us in to do a virtual inspection where basically they call every buyer individually and take them through on like the iPad. Like,
Yeah.
who is? And like, we had to do Dad's auction on Zoom, and it was the shittest experience. But like, I don't know who's purchasing property like sight unseen and being like, yeah, I'm happy to spend 1.5 on a joint.
It's ridiculous.
Like, it's not like the real estate agent.
or in the
there's a bit
instance
of a
of Pleasant
crap in
Road,
this world.
3.5.
Hey, what's that?
That's great. What did you wind up like? Don't have to tell me, but did it land in? It would have landed in the 3s, Pleasant Road.
It did. We did all right, but the guy that bought it, like, he didn't even fucking go through it.
He's going to push it over.
He reckons he'll renovate it. Do what you want with it, mate. It's your house.
It's good bones. It's a good old, those clinker brick homes. They're good for, man, they're good forever, because we've actually started doing renovations just in the last 2 years. The boss never has, but you know, there's some bucks to be made in it. And the red clinker brick homes, they're the best. Well, they're the worst ones to demolish because it's so many bricks, but structurally they're sound as anything, and good for renovating. So
Yeah.
you could certainly renovate it, but yeah, he'd have some. There would have been some clearing out under the house to do, I'm sure.
Mate, he's got some citrus trees to pull up if he's gonna. The grapefruits are gonna be kicking up the concrete down the back.
It's the inner east's bloody Golden Valley, mate.
It's crazy.
This game's starting to heat up, BJ.
All right, mate. All right, fellas, we'll leave it there.
Yeah, too easy.
Good to see your heads.
Yeah, good to see you both.
Good.
Hopefully, dare I
Next
say,
Father's Day on lockdown.
yeah, hopefully next year we could do it in person. And
I'll have a second kid by then.
yeah,
Before then.
March.
What are we? September? Shit, we could have a second one too.
Could do.
Guards, come on.
Come with me.
Ante up. Let's go. I'll let Summers know. We'll all get on.
Let's go.
Summers will get there first, mate. You just watch.
It's a race. Tell them it's a competition. $10 on it.
So have you actually, well, last question before we get up, have you actually had an experience yet when you've been with 4 of your friends or 5 of your friends that have 1 or 2 kids yet?
Your Scarlett's first birthday.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
We caught up with the Snapes a couple of times too, but not like with all the kids and all the, you know.
I'm looking forward to, hopefully, if we get Christmas out this year, because Tracy has catch up with her girlfriends every year for Christmas. It's slowly become catch up with the families. And 2 Christmases ago, there was, I don't know, 4 or 5, maybe 4 kids there. I think Tracy was pregnant at the time. And then from then, there'll be 2 years from now, there'll be, who knows, 7 or 8 this year. Something crazy. That's just, the girls are just, it's getting crazy with that because there's about 7 girlfriends. 6 of them have got kids. 2 of them, one has 2. One's got 2, more on the way. It's just crazy. Tracy's got her second on the way.
I think that's what all the first birthdays I was hoping they were going to be, right? Like catch
Yeah.
up.
Well, I got to Tommy Arado's little girl's first birthday, and that was all the family friends were there with their 1 or 2 each. A couple of guys we went to school with being a year level above with kids. So no, it was good to see. It was funny to see all the little kids running around together and pushing each other over and taking each other's toys.
Can't wait.
Fun to watch. Have a happy Father's Day.
Yeah, you
Thank you
too.
guys. Cheers.
Ta-ra, boys.
Take it easy.